Hello there, Steve-Os. Welcome back to another episode of Steve's Movie Wrap-Up right here on my YouTube channel, SteveOfficial. This is episode 101. So, without further ado, let's find out what movies I've watched and reviewed this week, starting with Jackass Best and Last. First up, it is Jackass Best and Last with 3 stars on Letterboxd is what I've given to it. So, Jackass Best and Last is the last film in the Jackass franchise. Jackass was a popular TV series that aired from the early 2000s on MTV. Have I seen the TV series? I haven't. Have I watched any of the previous movies, which I believe there was 4 movies that were released prior to this one? I haven't seen any of the previous films within the Jackass franchise. So, what made me want to watch the final movie? For many people, they will have fond memories growing up and watching Jackass, whether that be in TV series form or in movie form, or even both for that matter. And I am aware that the series and the movies do exist. However, though, I didn't think I was the prime target audience for the show or the movies. I remember a few years ago, I did see the trailer for Jackass Forever get advertised a lot in cinemas, and I was aware that was being shown in cinemas, but did I watch that film? I didn't. While I don't get any nostalgia from watching this, however, though, I do appreciate the fact that they did look back at their favourite moments from both the TV show and the movies that they have done over the past 25 years or so, and I am sure that the fans of the show and the movies will appreciate that a lot. They do also have some new footage that they did, particularly for this film as well, as showing off the best bits footage as well, which I did think some of it was funny and some of it was a little gross as well. So after watching Jackass Best and Last, do I reckon that watching this makes me want to go on to streaming service Paramount Plus and watch the movies and the series that the streaming service has to offer? I think I will do at some point, so don't be too surprised if at some point I do review the other Jackass films, especially as for me, they will be first time watches as well. Do I recommend watching Jackass Best and Last? Well, if you have seen the TV series or the movies, or even both, then I do recommend giving this a watch, especially as this is the last ever movie that they will do, especially given the fact that the cast that are involved in this franchise are too old to be pulling stunts on one another, ones that are deemed really dangerous as well. And by the way, I should also point out in this review that if you do watch this movie for yourself, that the stunts performed in this movie are deemed very dangerous, and you should not try any of the stunts performed in this movie on your own at home, or with anyone for that matter, okay? Just don't do it. Don't do it. But Jackass Best and Last is now showing in cinemas and theatres worldwide. Supergirl. Next up this week, I watched Supergirl, which I gave 2 stars on Letterboxd. Yikes! So, I watched DC's new superhero movie in the form of Supergirl, with Millie Alcock taking on the titular role. So, what did I think of Supergirl? Well, I think it is safe to say that I am not going to remember this film in a couple of days and what happens in it, other than Crypto being shot and Supergirl goes after the people who nearly killed her dog. It's almost like they took inspiration from John Wick when they came up with the idea of this movie. Millie Alcock, I did think, was great as Supergirl, and she fitted the role perfectly. However, there is a lot of things that I didn't like about this film. First up, there was the lighting in this film. What was up with that? A lot of scenes were just lit up from the back, so it was quite hard to work out what some of the characters looked like, or even the facial expressions from certain scenes, because you couldn't see their faces. So this film was badly lit. How on earth they managed to greenlight this film to be put out to the public to watch on the big screen, knowing just how dark some scenes were, I have no idea. Then there is the dialogue in this as well. I just didn't feel as though the script was really strong for this movie. I felt as though it was rather clunky, and yet James Gunn, who is currently overlooking the DC universe, once said that the script for Supergirl was strong. I mean, really? Did I hear a strong script in this film when the characters were engaging and interesting and interacting? Sorry, I didn't. Jason Momoa also stars in this film as Lobo, and I must say the film would have been so much more interesting if he featured a lot more heavier, or if they did a solo movie based on Lobo. I mean, I would watch that, that's for sure, as long as Jason Momoa returns as Lobo though. David Corenswet does also make some cameo appearances throughout Supergirl as the role of Superman, who we will next see in Man of Tomorrow, coming to cinemas and theatres worldwide in 2027. I also have a feeling that at some point Seth Rogen featured in this film, voicing a character as well. Or was that just me? No, it wasn't, because I did also find out that he is uncredited in the role in this film, by the way. But I know that at the box office, Supergirl hasn't been doing too great, and critics have been giving it kind of bad reviews. And after seeing this movie for myself, now I don't blame them at all, because now I can see why it has been given the negative reviews. Would I like to see Millie Alcock return as Supergirl? I would, because as mentioned, she does fit the role well. However though, I would like her to appear in a film with better lighting and also a much stronger script as well than what we got in this film. I will also say that while I appreciate the fact we do dive into Supergirl's backstory, but I felt as though that was taking up a lot of time in the film as well, which made the film drag on a little bit as well. The fight sequences were a bit hit and miss for me as well. Some of them I found rather decent, whereas towards the final act of the film though, it just looked CGI'd and green screened, which made them a lot more messier to look at on the big screen. Do I recommend watching Supergirl? Well, if you are into superhero movies, and more so into the DC universe, then sure, give this a watch, but you may find this being a watch once and once only kind of film, because for me, that will likely be the case. But Supergirl is now showing in cinemas and theatres worldwide. Minions and Monsters. And finally this week, I watched Minions and Monsters, which I gave 3 stars on Letterboxd. Minions and Monsters is the 3rd instalment in the Minions spin-off franchise, first appearing in Despicable Me. So, what did I think of Minions and Monsters? Well, sure. This is a family-friendly film that kids will love, and does come with a quick running time of just 1 hour and 29 minutes, so I wasn't sat in the cinema seat for too long. And also as well, I do appreciate the film as well for the moments that did make me chuckle a couple of times. I have watched the previous 2 Minions films and I liked them fine, and this was no different as well. And I can say the same for the Despicable Me films as well. I do like them just fine as well. I also love the fact that, in a way, kids will be educated about the history of cinema in this film as well. Which, again, I do appreciate this movie celebrating the history of cinema, the history of films. And what brings a lot of people closer is the love of film as well. Would I rewatch Minions and Monsters again? Yeah, sure, I would be happy to. Is this a film I will get to buy and keep on digital platforms later this year? Likely so, as I do have the other Minions / Despicable Me films on digital platforms anyway. And do I recommend watching this? Or if you have a child and looking for something to watch, particularly as the school holidays are coming up real soon as well, then I would recommend checking this one out as well. Minions and Monsters is now showing in cinemas and theatres worldwide. That's it for this week's episode of the Movie Wrap Up. Thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, feel free to hit the thumbs up button, leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what films you guys have been watching this week, whether it's old, new, cinema, VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, or even on streaming service. Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, if you are new around here and you like what you see, feel free to hit that subscribe subscribe button down below to become a Stevo. I will be back tomorrow, which will be the 6th of July 2026 at 6 PM UK time with another episode of Lens on Life. But until then though, it's goodbye. Thank you for watching, and I'll speak to you guys again in my next YouTube video.